pleasure to introduce to you Bardstown Mayor Heaton.
You know, we all know the importance of bourbon to not just Bardstown and Nelson County, but our surrounding counties. We've got, I think, 11 distilleries joining us for this celebration, so it's wonderful. And I just like to characterize and talk about bourbon just as, you know, it's just been resiliency and innovation, I think, is the two words that come to my mind on where our longtime distilleries were and are today, and they date back to the 1800s, and our new distilleries, how innovative they are. What a great impact that has been on our local economy. I describe it as the three-headed giant, not to be confused as a three-headed monster. It's the jolly green giant. Green as in money, driving our economy. They do a tremendous job in their traditional business of manufacturing, aging, distilling, bottling, and distributing their product. They're also driving making a huge boost to our hospitality economy, as we all know with bourbon trip. And lastly, and this has changed over the years, most of the corn that's being grown right here in Bardstown and Nelson County and our surrounding counties is going to bourbon production. It wasn't always that way back in the 70s and 80s when bourbon wasn't nearly as strong. So that's the three-headed giant: bourbon, agriculture, and tourism. So we're so glad for that, and we appreciate all of what you all are doing for us. The City Council passed a proclamation naming today National Bourbon Day here in Bardstown, and I'll be reading this proclamation. I'm going to present these proclamations to those distillers who are present today. So, whereas Congress declared bourbon as America's native spirit in 1964, making it the only spirit distinctive to the United States, and whereas Kentucky is renowned throughout the world as the birthplace of bourbon and its signature distilling industry, producing more than 95% of the world's bourbon. And whereas generations of Kentuckians have continued the heritage and time-honored tradition of crafting fine bourbon, utilizing Kentucky's farming community for natural ingredients and contributing to the Commonwealth's economic development. And whereas 11 unique distillery experiences are located in Bardstown-Nelson County and the surrounding counties as well. And whereas Bardstown is known as the bourbon capital of the world, with bourbon from Bardstown being part of the largest export among all U.S. distilled spirits globally. Now therefore I, J. Richard Heaton, Mayor of the City of Bardstown, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2021 to be National Bourbon Day in Bardstown, Kentucky. I'm so proud to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, Jacqueline Coleman.
I want to welcome you all to this celebration of the 4th Annual Bourbon Day. I cannot think of any better way to celebrate putting COVID behind us in the best Kentucky way possible by celebrating bourbon, and that may be out of preference, but it also may be out of necessity. I don't know, after the last year and a half. And of course, bourbon, we know, is one of the state's largest economic impactors, and Kentucky tourism serves as a mechanism for driving economic growth in all counties, rural, urban, 120 counties across the state. And certainly the bourbon industry is a huge attraction for so many communities here in Kentucky, none more than Bardstown, of course. And it really does help drive our economy. I have a story, the very first Saturday morning practice that I had here. I walked out the door and I said, "What is that smell?" And my assistant coach goes, "That's money." I said, "Okay," which is what it is, right? And so, I say that as a joke, but in all seriousness, after enduring what we have through the last year and a half, it is so important that we celebrate what makes Kentucky great. And certainly our bourbon industry is at the top of that list. And so I want to encourage our neighbors to take advantage of opportunities within the Commonwealth. We bring people to our state. We want them to fall in love with Kentucky and make Kentucky part of their family tradition. Kentucky is a day's drive. I don't know if you know this, right? It's a day's drive within 2/3 of the U.S. population. That's a pretty great location for us to be able to offer up to folks outside of Kentucky too. So we're going to take every opportunity we can to lift up this industry industry and to make sure that we promote Kentucky within Kentucky, but also to folks on the outside that come to visit us. And so I want to just say congratulations to the city of Bardstown and Nelson County for such an exciting event, for such an exciting weekend that you are gearing up for leading into the official day. And I just want to say happy National Bourbon Day and encourage you, I'm a teacher, I have to encourage you to enjoy it responsibly. So thank you. So you know, it takes a lot of people to make this bourbon thing go around and to make it successful. And there's a group in Kentucky that has been the advocate for bourbon and has been bourbon's best friend for many, many, many years. And we're always proud that they can celebrate with us. They've become a good partner to Bardstown, and we look forward to that partnership growing more and more. But the Kentucky Distillers Association, the KDA as we call them, have always been there for us. We have used them in so many ways, but they're there for the distillers, you know, advocacy in so many ways, and with this crazy thing called the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So much of this would not be happening without the efforts that they put out. And we couldn't be more happy to have with us Eric Gregory, the president of KDA, to celebrate with us. Eric?
Thank you, Kim, and good morning, and I guess happy National Bourbon Day weekend. Since 1880, the KDA has worked tirelessly to responsibly unite, promote, protect, and elevate our signature bourbon and distilled spirits industry. We're celebrating Bardstown. I can't think of a better way and a better place to celebrate because bourbon truly is the bedrock of Bardstown, and this community goes out of its way to showcase the vibrant small-town charm of Kentucky bourbon and that culture that's unique to our Commonwealth. It's a culture, as y'all know, that's forged by hard work, by doing things right, a reverence for time and nature, and of course, our legendary Southern hospitality. With its robust mix of iconic brand destinations and smaller craft distilleries, Bardstown showcases both the tradition and evolution of Kentucky bourbon. Its small-town traditions, its rich history, and its growing group of heritage craft distillery truly give it the distinguished role as the bourbon capital of the world. The Bardstown community and surrounding areas, as you heard today, boasts 11 distilleries, including 8 of our Kentucky Bourbon Trail destinations. And we're so honored, Samantha, that Bardstown is officially gateway for the Kentucky Bourbon Trail adventure that turned 22 years old last week. We were 21 last year, and we had parties, as Adam Johnson, our Kentucky Bourbon Trail director today, we had parties going from May through September, and every one of those got canceled. So we're celebrating this year like we're of age. And we've got, y'all mentioned, we've got the new Heaton Visitor Center opening next week. We've got the bottling plant at Bardstown Bourbon Company opening. Jim Beam is working on like $1 zillion, I think, the very center for Eddie. We're looking forward to the opening. The new Diageo facility in Marion County, that's just a county away, that's going to be huge. Lodstill, our friends, Wally, and the Dan family there, of course, that they're doing great things, and you'll hear more from them and us pretty soon. So I'm also, not only the president of KDA, I'm the kind of the numbers guy. So I'm glad nobody mentioned the numbers before me, so I didn't have to scratch these out of my speech. But I really wanted to showcase what the economic impact of distilling means to Bardstown and the state. So every 2 years, we hire Dr. Paul Coons, who's a noted economist, to do an economic impact study of Kentucky bourbon and the distilling industry. We've been doing this since 2009. So the numbers I'm going to give you are actually 2019 numbers. We punted last year and didn't do it because of COVID. We're doing it right now. So you know these numbers have only gotten bigger, right, over 2 years. So in 2019, it showed that our industry now provides twice as many jobs, payroll, capital investment, and tax revenue than a decade ago. We have 9.3 million barrels of bourbon aging across the state of Kentucky right now. That's the first time since 1967 that we've ever crossed 9 million barrels of just bourbon aging. And we have almost 10 million barrels aging when you count our great brandies and other spirits that are in our warehouses. So Kentucky bourbon is a thriving $8.6 billion economic engine that generates more than 20,100 jobs with an annual payroll topping $1 billion. Of that, Nelson County alone generates 3,500 jobs, $135 million in payroll, and $2.5 billion of that economic impact. Now, yes, now when you throw in the 11 distilleries breweries in Nelson County and the surrounding areas, you're over 6,000 jobs, nearly $250 million in payroll, and $3.5 billion in output. So more than 40% of everything bourbon comes right here in Nelson County and surrounding counties. That's absolutely. So we all know, though, that bourbon is more than just jobs and numbers. It's more than tax revenue, although Chad, I'm sure, loves that tax revenue coming to state. He's smiling, look at him. It's more, we're in billions of dollars of capital investments right now. But bourbon really is the tradition that anchors Kentucky's place in America's history. Our Scotch-Irish ancestors named it whiskey, which y'all know means water of life, right? And in Kentucky, bourbon is not only a way of life, it's our livelihood, really. It's our birthright. And we always like to say that bourbon brings people together, and that's one thing that we stress at KDA with our 48 members and all of y'all, the hardworking men in industry, men and women of our industry. We say that we are stronger about working together. Because bourbon is friends and family. It's hearts and minds. You have the farmers and the haulers, the engineers, the architects, the builders, the welders, the chemists, the coopers, tour guides, bartenders, servers, store owners, and so much else. And of course, the smiling faces of the nearly 2 million visitors every year that come to Kentucky and visit one of our iconic distilleries. So this is really what we celebrate today. So on behalf of the KDA and our 48 members, thank you to Bardstown. Thank you for putting together this glorious weekend of festivities that's worthy of our revered heritage. And thank you for welcoming again the KDA with open arms to celebrate with you. Together, we continue to secure Kentucky's rightful place as the one true and authentic home for bourbon and Bardstown's rightful title as the bourbon capital of the world.
We couldn't have the National Bourbon Day celebration without having our guys from the Kentucky Bourbon Festival with us to tell us everything that's going to be happening this year. The Executive Director of the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, Prasse, and David Mandell, Chairman of the Board. Welcome, gentlemen.
On behalf of all of us and the Board of Directors, happy National Bourbon Day kickoff weekend celebration. The Kentucky Bourbon Festival is not just a festival. It's an economic engine. It's a catalyst for growth. It has the ability to greatly support industry and drive tourism. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and I want to thank everybody who has led this festival for the last 30 years. But like every great business, we must evolve, and we must evolve repeatedly to stay ahead. And that's what we've done, and that's what we're doing. In the last year and a half, we've completely restructured the festival. We've developed a new economic model. We've created new experiences and ways for more people to interact with the bourbon brands that they love. We've launched new educational programming. We've greatly expanded the distilleries participating in the festival. We've installed a new corporate structure to ensure we continue on our path forward, and we have unified our working relationship with our community leaders. And we've created a framework to build and execute events here, across the state, and beyond, throughout the year, all to support our now very crystal clear mission, which is to promote Kentucky bourbon and Bardstown as the bourbon capital of the world. So it's my great pleasure with that to introduce Prasse, our President and COO.
Thank you all. I'm always so very humbled when David recognizes me. I feel like I'm the one privileged to be here in Bardstown and promoting bourbon capital of the world and everything we do. Every distillery in this room has been supportive over the years. There have been people throughout the community that, to David's point, this has been on the backs of many giants. And as excited as we are about the new chapter and the new direction that the festival is taking, there's a lot of people that got us this far, and as having been someone that's been also in the festival career for 30 years, I can only imagine how much blood, sweat, and tears this community and those involved have put into this. So thank you on behalf of the festival and all the people, the enthusiasts that get to come here to Bardstown to celebrate and participate with us. Our tickets went on sale, and in some cases, our new VIP program sold out in 2 hours. the tickets that we have, 1-day and 3-day passes, sold out in a matter of a little over a week. So there's a lot of enthusiasm from the consumers to come here. And for the first time in our history, we're actually going to be able to directly put sips to lips out here on the Great Lawn at Spalding Hall. So that's something that I know the distilleries are excited about, I'm excited about. So thank you for all for working with us, and certainly that KDA was very instrumental in helping navigate some of the rewriting of some of the laws and things to help us do that. So thank you for all that effort as well. I always joke that this is really feels like a first-year festival with that 30-year history. In order, and you all know this, you're all in your businesses, you're in your distilleries, you have to be relevant, you have to continue to be innovators, and that really is something that we talk about every single day. Samantha and I were laughing earlier, it's like, well, what do you do the rest of the year? This is what we do all year. We listen to you, we listen to the consumers, we try really hard every single day to make sure our programming decisions are some things that are going to keep us relevant and showcase the innovation. We are your mouthpieces in a lot of ways. We are your way of demonstrating how you all innovate to the public, to the bourbon enthusiasts. So the one thing that we also learned is there's a lot of people in Kentucky, there's a lot of people in Louisville, a lot of people in Frankfort, Lexington, Bowling Green, Paducah, all around the Commonwealth, that if they've heard of the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, they haven't been. Or there's some people that amazingly have never heard of us. So what we decided to do earlier this spring was to take the Bourbon Festival on the road and take it around the Commonwealth to introduce our festival to new bourbon enthusiasts. We've reached out to all of the major bourbon societies in the Commonwealth, and thank you, Barry. Barry Reiniger was very instrumental in making those key introductions. But we are taking our show around the Commonwealth, not to try to relocate anything, but to invite people. The best marketing is to get right in front of them and do sips to lips. So this year we were successful in doing one in Louisville. They got probably 40 or 50 new ticket buyers that come to Bardstown. We're planning more of those in the spring of 22. The other thing that we also realized is that as a business, if you could imagine trying to make your entire year's revenue off of a 4-day window once a year, that would scare you and it concerned you. And that's kind of where we were going into this, is no matter how great of a festival we produce, and we are producing a great festival, we also need other ways to remain relevant, bridge the gaps between September to September. So as cool as these little road shows are, we're touching 100 people at a time, we also realize that we need to do something that gets in front of a lot of people, both within Kentucky, regionally, but also nationally. So we started asking questions, and if Steve Coombs is here, I admit that I don't know what I don't know, and I'm a lifelong learner, but I immerse myself in my industry. But we started talking about what can we do, what pairs well with bourbon, and his response was barbecue. I mean, barbecue, and I hadn't really thought of that. So we got sniffed around and we found out there was some history here in Bardstown with barbecues, barbecue events, and we also reached out to the good folks at Beam, and they had done a kind of an invitational that included all of the different distilleries, and that is something that we've always strived to do too with the festival. It's about the bourbon and the people who make it. Everything else is secondary, and so what we started looking at is how can we continue the tradition of the festival with the barrel relay that we do that involves all the distilleries and the teams and the employees. How can we do that in a food situation? So what we're here to announce today is something that will both have a national attraction, a national draw to the community, and it's something that I don't want to say it's our gift to you, but really it is. It's something that we're trying to do to continue to be relevant to Bardstown and to Nelson County, to the whole Commonwealth. So we're going to take and spin out for the first time in our history a brand new festival that will be, again, very proudly showcasing Bardstown as the bourbon capital of the world. We are partnering with the Kansas City Barbecue Society. 1 year from today will be the opening day of our first ever Bourbon Capital Barbecue Challenge and Distillery Invitational. So we have another for that. While it is a separate event, everything we do, every decision we make always goes back to how does it further the brand, reinforce our mission, how does it reinstill the vision that our leadership group has brought on.
It's our 4th annual National Bourbon Day. And just to briefly talk about what's going on this weekend, we have distillery specials at all of our member distilleries over the next 2 days. We have special events going on downtown tonight and tomorrow night until 8 p.m. And then we have special Sunday brunches on Sunday morning. You can check out all of those details at visitbardstown.com/NBB. I'm pleased to introduce Samantha Brady, Executive Director of the Bardstown-Nelson County Tourism.
I'm so happy that you're here today. If you ever wondered what kind of impact tourism and the bourbon tourism has on our economy and our local economy, I think we know now after last year. I think those numbers speak for themselves with Gregory talking about that. I mean, we now know how important this industry is to Bardstown and the state of Kentucky. We know that for sure now. And so, I'm happy to report though that we are back in the swing of things better than ever before. We're seeing more visitors than we've ever seen in the history of tourism. And that is something to be excited about. And we are truly happy to welcome them back. So please raise your glass for the official Bardstown toast. Bardstown and bourbon, bonded together always. Cheers.